Welcome to Britain in the Blitz. In this video, we will explore Flambards' recreation of a London street during the grip of World War II. The exhibition was first of its kind in the UK when it was opened by Dame Vera Lynn back in 1984. Since then, hundreds of thousands of visitors and veterans have agreed it's a realistic and sensitive homage to those who stood strong and banded together despite the hardships of war. We will look at the measures in place, the fear of an unexploded bomb, and the wreckage of destruction. Towards the end of the video, we will take a look at some of the memories of World War II. This includes Nazi Germany memorabilia and letters of hope from evacuees. Britain in the Blitz is a homage to the British nation who stood strong during World War II. Britain was in the grip of war during the 1940s. Hitler was on the verge of invading Britain after already invading and occupying 20 other countries. The Blitz blurred the lines between social classes, and it was during this period we saw a great change and the recognisable beginning of modern Britain today. Britain's Prime Minister at the time was Winston Churchill, a minister who was doubted by his cabinet, but ever the underdog led his country to victory, sealing his name in British history and leaving a legacy of keep calm and carry on.
Get that right out. Put that right out.
a.r.p. Warden's Base. 1/6 of all air raid precaution wardens were women. It was one of the first times women performed a uniform civic defence role on Britain's streets. a.r.ps were the pillars of their community, ensuring all women, men and children were issued with gas masks. The a.r.p would bang on doors calling their neighbours to safety. Once the air raid siren sounded, people had just minutes to get to the nearest shelter.
Our shores are well fortified and strongly manned, and behind them, ready to attack the invader.
Bomb shelter. A bomb shelter, or air raid shelter, came in several styles. This one we see here is an Anderson shelter. There was also the Morrison shelter, a cage-like construction that could be used as refuge inside a home, often disguised as a table. Street community shelters, these were designed to protect those out on the streets. However, their rushed design led them to be very unpopular as they failed to protect. Underground stations were popular in London, and stations were fitted with 22,000 bunks and shelter marshals appointed. Rationing. In January 1940, the British government introduced food rationing. The scheme was designed to ensure fair shares for all at a time of national shortage. This led to the encouragement of other avenues of food supply, such as Dig for Victory, encouraging homegrown vegetables, and the famous "a better pot luck than humble pie, don't waste food." On June 1st, 1941, the rationing of clothes was announced. Here we can see a clothing store with the coupons required for each item. This made it increasingly difficult to clothe everyone, and brought about the well-known slogan of "Make Do and Mend," encouraging the public to repair their clothing.
Germany calling, Germany calling, Germany calling. Here are the right center handboard, Station Bremen and Station DXB on the 31 meter band.
Unexploded bombs. Unexploded bombs during World War II were relatively common. Much like the one we see here, they still pose a risk of going off at any given moment. In fact, World War II bombs still pose the exact same risk on modern Britain. To this day, we still discover unexploded bombs, the most recent being February this year, 2021. In Exeter, where 2,600 households and the University of Exeter halls of residence were evacuated, and a controlled detonation was carried out. Destruction. Sadly, it was all too common to see the destruction of your neighbour's home or your corner shop, even more so in London. Here, Flambards offer us the safe experience to understand the devastation the war left on British survivors. I feel it best to allow this clip to play out. Let it speak volumes for itself.
This is the BBC Home Service. Here is the news. The King has sent a message to Lord Gaunt.
Evacuees. The first official evacuations began in 1939. By January 1940, 60% had returned to their homes. A second evacuation effort was started after Germans had taken over most of France. From June 13th to June 18th of 1940, around 100,000 children were evacuated and in many cases re-evacuated. It was here in Cornwall most evacuees were sent, and Devon. I have purposely left out some scenes from the Blitz. This is to encourage you to come and experience this recreation for yourself. You can find the link to Flambards in the description, along with the link to the virtual walk-around. Now we will head out into the museum and take a look at some of the memorabilia and genuine letters from evacuees. The museum offers a range of memorabilia, and not just that of World War II. It includes aviation, the Concorde, fashion through time, and much more. But for the purpose of this video, we will be focusing on World War II. Future videos will feature the rest of the museum. The Home Front. The Home Front was the name given to the activities of the civilian efforts during World War II. This included rationing, manpower allocation, a.r.ps, Dig for Victory, Women's Land Army, and much more. The propaganda of the time was designed to boost public morale, banding Britain together during the nation at war. Women's Land Army. The Women's Land Army, or WLA, made a significant contribution towards boosting Britain's food production during World War II. The WLA was originally set up in 1917, but disbanded at the end of World War I. It was reformed in June 1939. At its peak in 1944, there were more than 80,000 women, often known as land girls. Cornwall at War. Here we see images and newspaper clippings of Cornwall's efforts during World War II. Across the years of 1939 to 1945, there's a range of activities and difficulties. Despite our location, Cornwall played a major undercover role during World War II. Cornwall was incredibly busy during this time, with all manner of British, American, Canadian forces coming and going. There were 8 operational air forces in Cornwall, covering Bude, Davidstow, St Marion, St Evell, St Morgan, Perranporth, and many more. 73 Spitfires crashed in Cornwall. Cornwall also housed most of the ammunition that went out onto the war boats, along with tanks, all camouflaged in Cornish lanes. Cornwall also opened its doors to evacuees. On June 13, 1940, over 28,000 children started arriving on trains from London. Nazi Germany and Adolf Hitler Memorabilia. Here we see an array of memorabilia, ranging from the rare dossier of Hitler's plans of his invasion upon Britain, to the swastika flags and their military attire. The artifact you see here is the German Burgmeister's dress bayonet. A Burgmeister was a political rank, or town mayor. Letters from Evacuees. A Bristol teacher who continued to live and work in the city while most of her pupils were evacuated maintained contact with them. Here we will take a look at some of the letters the children wrote to their teacher. I shall endeavour to read a couple and leave the rest for you to enjoy. Dear Miss Gay, I am very sorry I did not write before. Only my sister and I were belated with some very nasty people who didn't like evacuees, so therefore we were not treated nice. I told the teacher in charge about it, and now we have moved to a nice house where we are very happy. I go to a big school about 2 miles away. It has only been built for a year and is something like our concept, that it's a mixed senior school. The first day we went to school we were put into 3A, and so we are doing first year work all over again. The sums we are to do are very, very easy. I stay in to dinner and we get a hot dinner. They only have one cookery room here, and so we only get cookery half a day every week. We have a man teacher named Mr. Roberts, and Sheila Strag is always calling him Miss. The boys in the class answer him back and shout across the room till you can hardly hear yourself talk. Every night when there is a raid on Plymouth, we hear the guns and bombs, and see the searchlights. Also the planes pass over, but they don't drop anything here. Well, I think that's all for the present, as I have to go to bed now. Lots of love from Jean. Dear Miss Gay, thank you very much for your letters. I have not been for any outings on the sea, but last Saturday I went with some girls to a place called Ballonberry, where there is a freshwater river, and we went into the water paddling. I do not think that they are having any examinations this term. I'm getting on very well at school, as I'm class monitoress and librarian of the school library. I expect I shall go haymaking tonight, as Mr. Richards is cutting down the hay. We have been having beautiful weather here, and the countryside is looking lovely. I think you're all very lucky to have showers. Although we're in a new school building, we have not got any showers. I have had a few oranges since. I have been down here, and I have had strawberries. I do not learn music down here, but I still play the piano. We hold our services in classroom, and Miss Hughes plays the music on the piano out of my Songs of Praise hymn book. I have finished the dress I was making, and am now working on an apron for Mum's birthday. Tell Iris that we are not quite as fat as to be floating about in the sky as she thinks we are. I hope you're all well. Sincerely, Joan. Kiss, kiss. Cornish pasties. That is all on our unique journey through Britain in the Blitz and the World War II Museum. Let me know in the comments which was your favourite part. I really enjoyed reading the evacuee letters. Remember to check the links in the description for the virtual walk around and the link to visit Flambards yourself. It's really worth checking out. Join us next time as we take a look at fashion through time. Thank you for watching. Remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on future content. Until next time.